In Lesson 4, we're going to learn about the classic Windows desktop. We'll learn about icons and shortcuts, the taskbar and notification area. We'll find out where the Start button went. We'll learn how to close, maximize, minimize, restore, move, and resize windows, and how to snap them on the left and right side of the screen. And we'll learn how to open WordPad. Now, as I mentioned in the previous lesson, if you're like me, you're probably used to the classic Windows desktop mode instead of this new Start screen. So, let's see how we get over to the desktop. Somewhere over here, you'll find a tile called Desktop. Go ahead and click on that now. And look at that. Here we are at the classic Windows desktop that, if you've been using Windows for any period of time, you've probably come to know and love. Now, just so we're straight on some terminology, this big area back here, this big empty background, that's technically called the Windows desktop. These guys over here, Recycle Bin and Internet Explorer, are called icons, also sometimes called shortcuts. To open up one of these icons, like the Recycle Bin, double click on it, which is clicking on your left mouse button twice real fast. That then opens up a window. This here is a window. I'll show you how to work with windows in just a second. For now, we're going to close this window by clicking on the X in the upper right corner. That will close the window. On the very bottom of the screen, this big gray thing is called the taskbar. You'll see the different applications that are open and running on your taskbar. Now, in Windows 7 and Windows 8, you can pin applications to the taskbar even if they're not running. Here you'll see Internet Explorer and the File Explorer are both pinned to the taskbar even though they're not running. It's just another quick way to be able to open up applications that you work with on a regular basis. For example, to open up the File Explorer, I'll just click on this icon here. And again, that opens up another window. I'll go ahead and close this window for now. Over on the right side of the taskbar down here, this is called the System Tray, or the System Notification area. Down here you'll see a clock with the time and date. You can change these settings. I'll show you later. Your speakers for your volume. You can click on that. It'll open up the volume slider. You can slide this up and down to change the volume on your system. Or mute it right there. Some other information down here, such as your network, your battery status. Right here we have some PC issues to resolve. We'll talk about these in a future class. There's a little arrow on the left-hand side. If you click that, it opens up the hidden icons. There can be more icons in your system tray than display here. You can change whether or not to see all these or not later. Again, that's for a more advanced class. Now, in case you like the classic Windows 7 or even Windows XP look and feel for your desktop, I'm going to show you at the end of today's class how to customize this. And we're going to add something called the Quick Launch Bar. We're going to change it so we can actually see the names of the running applications. I'll show you that in the customizing lesson later on today. I'm personally preferential to the way Windows XP and even Vista used to display icons and programs that are running. And of course, I'll show you how to get your Start button back. Notice there's no Start button down there. If you're familiar with older versions of Windows, you'll see there's no Start button. Now, you can still kind of get to the Start menu if you bring your mouse down into the very bottom left-hand corner right there. You see the Start menu? It pops up. I think it should still be visible. I think Microsoft should put that Start button back there. But to go back to the Start menu, you just click on that spot, and it brings you up to the Start menu. Okay? But I'll hit Escape, and that'll bring me back to the desktop. Now, we are working with an operating system called Windows, but inside of Windows, you need to learn how to work with a window. Now, I'm going to open up Internet Explorer. You can open up any window that you want. I double-clicked on the Internet Explorer icon. It opened up a window, this thing, containing Internet Explorer. Now, in the upper right corner over here, you've got the X button. That's to close the program. Then you have the maximize and minimize buttons. Now, minimize sends this window down to the taskbar right down here. It's still running. It's just kind of in the background. And that's how you can easily switch between different applications at the same time. Click on it again, and it brings it back. The maximize button makes this window fill the entire screen. And there you go. Now you can see that Internet Explorer takes up my entire screen. Now the maximize button has changed to a restore down button. Just click on that and it puts it back to its normal size. When a window is in its normal size, you can click here on the top of it to click and drag and move it around on your screen. You can grab the edges. See how I got a two-way arrow? You can click and drag to resize the window. You can make it taller or shorter, or you can change it this way. Some windows resize the content, some do not. You can snap a window to one side of your screen by clicking and dragging it and then dropping it over here on the edge. And notice how that quickly resizes it on the left side of my screen. Just click and drag to pull it off, and that makes it normal, like that. You can do the same thing on the right side by clicking and dragging to the edge, and then letting it go, and it snaps it on the right side. And that's handy if you want to have two windows open side by side. Maybe Word over here and Excel over here, and you can work between them nice and easily. I'm going to close this application now, close Internet Explorer. Now again, remember that keyboard shortcut that I talked about earlier, Alt F4. Hold down the Alt key and press the F4 key. Remember that one, that's a handy one. And that closes down the active application. Now normally at this point in my beginner Windows classes, I would take people through playing a game of Solitaire. But unfortunately, Solitaire, the card game, doesn't come with Windows 8. You can still download it from the Microsoft Store and run it as a Windows 8 app, but I miss the old Solitaire, the one that used to come with Windows before. So I'll show you a little later on how we can download Solitaire from the Windows Store. For now, let's pick another application to have fun with. Let's write something in a word processor. Now there are two different word processors that come with Windows. There's Notepad and there's WordPad. Notepad is just for text files. There's no formatting, you can't bold and italicize or change fonts. It's just for simple plain text, which is good enough for keeping, as it says, simple notes, Notepad. WordPad is a word processor. It's a scaled down version of Microsoft Word that actually comes with Windows that you can write a letter with and apply fonts and changes and all kinds of things. So let's see how we can open up WordPad. Now again, to the uninitiated, you don't see any other way to open up other applications here unless you know what you're doing. Again, I don't like that Microsoft didn't put the start button on here, but we know how to open up the start menu. You can either move your mouse into the bottom left corner, or you can press the Windows key on your keyboard. That's the thing that looks like the four little tiles. Depending on your computer keyboard, it might look like that. Or it could look like this. Or here's the newest Windows logo that goes with Windows 8. There's my Windows key off my laptop. As you can see, they've pretty much made it all straight edges. But if you press the Windows key, it brings you to the Start menu. Now, you can either right-click and come down here to All Apps, and then find the app that you're looking for. Now, WordPad is a classic Windows application. It's not a Windows 8 app, so you're not going to find it over here. So I'm going to scroll over to the right. And, there's a lot of stuff in here. Let's see, where can we find it? Oh yeah, it's up here. Alright, but the more programs you install, the more difficult it's going to be to find stuff. So here's a trick. If you know the name of the app that you want to open, just start typing it in at the keyboard. W-O-R, look, there it is. Right? The search bar appears, and we'll talk more about search in a future lesson. But there's a couple of different things you can search for. You can search for apps, you can search for settings, you can search for your files. Apps is what we're looking for, and there's the WordPad app. So now I just click on that, and it'll run WordPad. And there we go. It switches back to the Windows desktop since that's a classic Windows application, not a Windows 8 app. And it launches WordPad. Alright, I'm going to close that. And you don't have to go to that All Apps screen. Just open up the Start menu. And once you're in here, just start typing in WordPad. And there it is. It brings you right to it. So it's pretty easy to find stuff that way, if you've got a keyboard. Now, if WordPad is something that you use all the time, we all have applications that we work with every day. I personally use Access and Excel and Word a lot. Well, notice down here on the taskbar now, you can see that WordPad is sitting right there. Its icon is on the taskbar because it's running. Well, again, if this is something you use on a regular basis, you can right-click on that and select Pin this program to the taskbar. Alright, now it's stuck there. It'll stay there permanently. Even if you close WordPad, notice the icon is still right there. That's what pinning something to the taskbar means. That way you don't have to go hunting through the menus to find it. It's right there. I can click on it again to open a fresh copy of WordPad. If you no longer want it pinned to the taskbar, you can right-click and unpin it from the taskbar. I'm going to leave it there, though. You can also close the window right from there, and that closes the active window application.